Elizabeth and Colton here with Protexia, and today we're going to install our hay preservative applicator for you.
Yes, so this is our John Deere 348 small square baler for our own personal use, and we're going to install the new 25-gallon applicator for hay preservatives. So on our applicator systems, you actually get transparent hosing, so you can actually see the product flowing through.
As opposed to having this solid one that you can't see in, you can't see what it's running or if there's something stuck inside.
So you will find on your applicator kits the self-fill hose system, the little PVC pipe here. That will be in one of the boxes, and you set that off to the side for now. In the other box, you'll find both of your hosing. The clear one with the banjo clamp goes with the self-fill. You can also set that off to the side right now. And then your other transparent hose here will be the main hose for your kit. So under the hosing, you will find your pressure gauge, and it comes in some bubble wrap. Just leave that in there for now so you don't risk busting it.
So one of the really nice things is that you get lots of nozzles and extra parts.
So when you get to the bottom of your box and you come into where the pump system is, you'll find these little slips here. It's a little special treat where it's actually been inspected and tested. That way you know you're not getting any bad parts. Okay, so then we will take the pump system out. So in the last box here, you will find some extra hosing along with your flow meter. And just gently set that off to the side as well. So you will notice in all of your parts that the hardware required to mount it is shrink wrapped to it. So for example, the nozzles here have all the bolts and mounting equipment that you will need shrink wrapped to the nozzle. So you just make sure you keep all the parts together and not separate them. So first we're going to go ahead and take our actual pump and mount it to the applicator tank itself. There's four little rubber mounts here. They're going to line up with the 4 holes that are on top of the tank. And keep in mind that the bolts for this were shrink wrapped to your pump, so make sure you don't toss those. You'll set the pump on here and line it up with the filter side facing towards you with the sticker side. And then you will take a Phillips screwdriver and come from the top and tighten it all down. So after you put in your 4 screws and mount the pump to the tank, the little return line here, there's a little plastic nut that will go on it. So you'll actually take the nut off, and there's a hole on top of the tank right next to those mounts. You're gonna stick it in there, and then reach your arm in through the hole and tighten this nut back on it to hold it in the tank. Next, we're gonna take your wiring for the pump. We're just gonna stick it in this little clamp here that's already mounted on the tank. Next, we're gonna take our pressure gauge and we're gonna go ahead and install that. And it goes right on top here. You're just gonna screw it in and gently tighten it. You don't wanna bust it. So in one of your boxes, you will find this piece right here, and it's got a sticker that we please want you to put on your tank of the applicator. That way, if anything were to ever happen, we'll be able to help you and be able to determine what kit you actually have. Then you can take the fill tube and the clear one with the banjo clamp on the end. There's already a hose clamp on there. So you'll just slide this on. And then slide your hose clamp over and tighten it down.
So now that we are finished mounting the pump, we're going to mount the entire tank onto the baler. So it's the fun part. What Colton is doing right now is marking where we're gonna drill through so that we don't drill in more than one location in our precious baler.
Go ahead and mount our spray bar here, and you will put these angle iron pieces on like this and have your holes drilled, and it already comes with the bolts, so we're gonna slide it through like that, and then put the flat washer behind and the lock washer, and then your nut, and you'll do it on this side as well. So we've now installed our tank along with the spray bar. Everything's mounted down to the baler. So now we're going to go ahead and mount our flow meter. Which there's extra instructions attached with it as well.
Should is read the instructions.
Why?
Flow meter should be mounted where one can easily see it. It should be totally vertical.
So another idea, just keep in mind, you gotta picture where you're gonna run the hoses. Obviously running the hoses inside would be a bad idea. There's a lot of moving parts. So keep in mind too, wherever you place this, that you can actually get the hoses safely to it and back. So your flow meter, you're actually gonna wanna mount as close to the tractor as you can. That way you can see it, but not too close where it's gonna be in the way and hit stuff.
Anything else interesting in the instructions?
You should ask my handsome husband.
So when you're putting your hoses on, the kit has hose clamps included. 2 of them are gonna be in the nozzle case that came with one of the boxes. And then there's 2 more that are mounted with the flow meter, so just keep that in mind. So we're gonna go ahead and attach the first end of the hose, and it's this little white 90-degree angle piece coming off the pump. And then install the hose clamp. So keep in mind when you're bringing your hose back to the spray bar, the last nozzle is actually already attached to the bar from the package. So if you're looking for it, that's where it is. So our hose is gonna come out of the pump from the tank. It's gonna come down. We're gonna go straight over to wherever your flow meter is mounted, coming in the bottom, and then it's gonna come out the top and run it back to the spray bar. Demonstrate how to use the self-fill system. So get your barrels up close and you can leave them right on the ground. You don't have to pick them up. You're gonna stick the tube down in the barrel. like so. This hose here will plug in right here at this banjo clamp. Have the tabs facing out. Go ahead and latch those sides there. And then the valve, the three-way valve over here, you need to make sure it's pointing towards the rear of the tank. Otherwise, you're just gonna spray it out the nozzle. Then we can go ahead and turn on the pump. And you will start to see the hay preservative. And here it goes, up into the tank. The hardest part about the way you used to have to do it was actually pick up the barrel, hold it with some other piece of equipment, and open this cap and try and dump it in. So by allowing us to just leave the barrel on the ground and fill it with the pump that's already on board makes it a lot easier and a lot safer, and only one person is required to do it, where before you need multiple. Alright, so after you have filled your tank using the self-fill system, you'll undo the banjo clamp, plug back in the actual tank connection, and then you want to flip your valve back so it faces the front of the system. That way it actually goes to the nozzle bar. In your kit with the nozzles, to start off with, you're just going to kind of pick one and see if it works or not. You might have to make adjustments. There's also two little black caps. If you have one of the bigger systems, you'll have more. And then you'll come to the actual nozzle bar. There's solid caps on it currently. They just unscrew, so you'll take those off. Taking off the solid just block caps. And then you're gonna take those two nozzles and those two black caps, or however many nozzles that you have. And you're gonna have the thread part up. You're gonna stick the nozzle down in there. So it should fit like that. And then you'll reach back here and just screw those back on. Now keep in mind that the fan is gonna be in a line with the notch in the nozzle. So you're gonna want the notch spraying as wide as it can. So if you don't have your nozzle spread horizontal and you have it like this, you're just gonna have a straight line going like this, and you don't want that. So make sure when you screw it in that it makes a nice horizontal look. And you'll do that for all the nozzles in the spray bar. Okay, so after you get your nozzles put in, there's one step that you need to do, and you need to do this anytime you change out any nozzles or make any adjustments. So on the back of the pressure gauge, there is a pressure regulator, is what they call it. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna turn your pump up 100%. So you see the pressure is coming up, and you're going to turn it clockwise until you see it get to 35. And then you'll shut off. And then there's a separate collar to help lock in a position. So you don't want to spray anything over 35, and you don't want to be under 15 psi. So when you're at 100%, you're basically locking the max it can push out at pressure. And then the adjustments from there are all in the cab using the controller. If you find out that you need to apply more preservative than what you can physically pump out, then that is where you'll need to go to a bigger nozzle size. And then again, you'll set the pressure regulator again. Same thing if you need to turn it down and it's too much flowing and your required amount is lower, then you'll go to a smaller nozzle tip. If for some rare application you need less than what the smaller tip is included, at that point your hay should be a really thin windrow, and you can go ahead and put in one block and one nozzle and just use one nozzle. That case would probably be pretty rare, but that's one option. And again, you'll set the pressure regulator over again. Anytime you make any adjustments to the nozzles, you need to go back to the pressure regulator. But after that, all the adjustments are made from the cab. We have put the entire system together. We're going to just do a quick little overview of everything. So, of course, you have the main tank with the pump and your pressure gauge. Your first hose will come down past the nozzle bar to your flow meter, wherever that is most convenient for you to see, running back to the spray bar and plugging in here, getting all that set up there. And then you also take the wires for the pump, and as you can see here for us, we just zip tied it and ran it along with the hoses. Safely run it up to the tractor, make sure it's not going to get tangled or caught in anything on the back of the tractor, and then we will show you the inside of the tractor here. So inside the tractor here, you will have the Dorman controller, and this comes with your kit, so you will mount this in a convenient place for you to be able to easily access, as you'll be turning this off and on quite often. Wire coming from the applicator will come up in through the cab and will plug into the orange and blue wires on the controller. The black and the red wires will go to your power wires, which you will either mount to the battery, or in this case, in this tractor, we had a plug that you can plug into the cab. Either one works. So you can easily control the flow and turn on and off the pump from the cab here. Another tool that you can actually access and buy from Protexia are the Delmhorst moisture kits, and this is a very useful tool. These two almost work right next to each other. They make each other very useful. This will actually allow you to tell the moisture that you're at while you're baling, and if you get the in bale chamber option, you can actually run this all the way from the back and have the power cable and get a consistent reading while you bale. There's no hay in the baler, so right now it's not doing anything, but while you bale, it gives you an instant and then an average moisture. And the average, it'll just say A and then in a number. The A is what you will want to use the Protexia chart to calibrate and use the hay preservative applicator the correct way. So when you buy preservative from Protexia, we will actually provide you with a very easy and simple to use chart that will work directly with the flow meter, so that you know that you're putting the right amount of preservative on and that your hay will be stored safely and not have any mold or catch on fire in worst case scenario. And that is all controllable with this controller. You have your on-off switch, which a red light comes on when it's on, and then you can adjust the flow by just turning the dial. So the letters don't really represent anything related to it, just kind of gives you an idea of memorization in a way, but you will always use the flow meter and look at the ball against the numbers to see where you need to have it set. So you'll see when you're using the Dorman applicator system that the visibility is a lot better than a lot of other ones. So the flow meter is mounted close enough that we can actually see it while we're baling and be able to tell how much preservative we're putting on, because it's very important to know that and make sure you're putting enough on. On this particular baler, we mounted it in the corner, and which also allows for easy access. You can see the pressure gauge and the amount of preservative you have left as well. We have equipped the Delmhorst moisture kit with the in baler option. So that on this baler we've mounted on inside the chamber. There's a little plate here that you will bolt on, and then there's just these two wires that join to one, and you'll safely run up to the tractor, and it plugs right into your Delmhorst moisture reader. Going with the Protexia Dorman applicator system and this flow meter. Our flow meters are rated in gallons per hour. Some of the other brands don't include a flow meter or use a different unit. The nice thing of being gallons per hour is you can actually picture and visualize how long your tank is going to last and how long you can go in the day before you're going to need a refill.